History of the Boran in South Africa. The early 1960s saw the first attempt to bring Boran to South Africa. A Kenyan farmer, Miles Fletcher, farmed Boran cattle and sheep on part of the ranch Sugoroi near Naro Moru, Kenya. In 1962 he decided to emigrate to South Africa with the intention of establishing a Boran herd in South Africa. He transported over 100 Boran cattle down to Zambia, where he received news from the Rhodesian Veterinary Services that he would only be allowed to move the progeny of Boran he bought down from Kenya, through Rhodesia to South Africa. In 1963 Miles abandoned his attempt and sold his Boran to Agricultural Enterprises Ltd, a subsidiary of Zambezi Ranching Corp Ltd, situated in the Choma district, Zambia. Their brochure states, "Today the Demo Borans are unequaled in Zambia." The nucleus of the herd having been purchased from Mr. Miles Fletcher, who is one of the foremost breeders in Kenya. On reading an article on embryo transfers and the revolutionary role they would play in the transfer of genetics from disease-sensitive areas, Miles's great-nephew Simon Hodgson realized that the importation of Boran had now become a possibility. In 1991 Simon Hodgson contacted the Kenya Boran Cattle Breeders Society, KBCBS, expressing interest in importing Boran into South Africa. In December 1991 the president of the BCBS, Giles Pritijan, extended an invitation to Simon to find a suitable candidate from South Africa to judge the Boran at the 1992 Nairobi show, the initial step in increasing the awareness of Boran in South Africa. Douglas Raff accepted the invitation and together with his son, Tim, flew up to Kenya and judged the Boran at the Nairobi show. They then spent 10 days as guests of the KBCBS visiting the prominent Boran ranches in Kenya. Douglas was impressed with the Boran. They were of a good type and were very suited to the environment they were being farmed in. When we visited the Muter Ranch we saw a herd of about 200 red cows and calves, and approximately 50 meters away the same number of white cows and calves. What fascinated us was the great herd instinct shown by the cattle as they did not attempt to mingle even though there were only 2 herdsmen. It is without doubt the best sight of cattle I have had the privilege to see. Given the other wonderful characteristics that the Boran have, we decided then and there to import the Boran into South Africa. In August 1995 Department of Animal Improvement recognized the Boran as a breed. On May 17, 2003, the Boran Cattle Breeders Society of SA was founded. Boran cattle were domesticated in 3 parts of the world. Bos indicus, zebu cattle, domesticated in the Indus Valley, Pakistan, 4000 BC. European Bos taurus domesticated in Eastern Europe in 6000 BC. African Bos taurus domesticated in the Eastern Sub-Saharan area in 8000 BC. Cattle were introduced into Africa. European Bos taurus. The first introduction was humpless taurine Hamitic longhorns, Bos taurus, and they arrived in the Nile Delta around 6000 BC. The second introduction, that of the taurine shorthorns, Beef taurus, supposedly occurred about 2750 to 2500 BC. Bos indicus. The first introduction of the humped zebu Bos indicus cattle was as early as 2000 to 1788 BC. The second introduction, associated with the Arab invasion of Africa, occurred from about 699 AD. African Bos taurus. Domesticated in Africa. The genetic makeup of the Boran. Through DNA sampling Hanat et al. Have analyzed the genetic makeup of the Boran and it consists of the following genetic proportions. European Bos taurus, 24%. Bos indicus, 64%. African Bos taurus, 12%. The Boran developed in eastern Africa and the main Boran hotspot was the Borana Plateau in southern Ethiopia. That was a point where all the different breeds migrated through to their various destinations in Africa. The Boran developed into the dominant breed of Eastern Africa and especially in Kenya, where the Kenyan Boran Cattle Breeders Society, BCBS, has bred the improved Boran since the turn of the century. While the Boran breeders have greatly improved the beef conformation of their animals, they never lost sight of the important qualities of the indigenous Boran, to quote the BCBS. As far as can be determined, this is the only breed in Africa, and therefore the world, to have this specific combination of genes. It must be properly understood that the Boran is a breed that had its last infusion of new genes in 700 AD. The Boran is therefore not a synthetic or compound breed that has been crossbred in the last few decades. It has been bred as a pure breed for 1,300 years. The importance of this to the commercial breeder is that the Boran will have much stronger hybrid vigor than modern compound breeds.